He was born in a small Austrian border town in 1889, the fourth child of a strict customs official and a gentle mother who had already buried 3 babies. His name was Adolf Hitler. To the world outside, he started as nothing special, just another boy with big dreams and a short temper. Yet within 56 years, this same boy would drag the planet into its bloodiest war, order the murder of millions in factories of death, and end his own life in an underground bunker while his city burned above him. How does an unsuccessful artist from a sleepy town become the face of absolute evil? This is that story, told from beginning to end, without myth and without mercy. Childhood was never kind to him. Alois Hitler was a hard, domineering father who beat his son regularly and wanted him to follow into a safe civil service career. Young Adolf rebelled early. School bored him. Teachers called him lazy and arrogant. By 16, he had quit formal education altogether, dreaming instead of becoming a great painter. When his father died in 1903 and his beloved mother followed 4 years later, the 18-year-old found himself alone with a small inheritance and an unshakable belief that the world owed him success. Vienna, the glittering capital of art and music, was supposed to be the place where that success began. It became his crucible. Twice he applied to the Academy of Fine Arts. Twice he was rejected. The examiners said his drawings of buildings were impressive, but he could not draw people convincingly. Broke, orphaned, and too proud to take ordinary work, he drifted into homelessness, men's hostels, soup kitchens, snow-covered parks. For 5 years he scraped a living selling watercolor postcards to tourists. In those cold, hungry nights, he devoured racist pamphlets, anti-Semitic newspapers, and the wild speeches of Vienna's extremist politicians. The poison took root. He blamed the Jews for his failures, the mongrel races for Germany's weakness, and democracy itself for everything wrong with the world. When the guns of August 1914 sounded, Hitler volunteered immediately. The trenches of the Western Front gave him the only real home he ever loved. As a dispatch runner, he showed reckless bravery, was wounded twice, gassed once, and earned the Iron Cross First Class, an award rarely given to a corporal. For the first time in his life, he felt purpose. So when Germany surrendered in November 1918, the news hit him like a personal betrayal. Lying blind in a military hospital from mustard gas, he wept with rage. Jews and Marxists had stabbed Germany in the back, he convinced himself. That single idea would become the spark that set the world on fire. Back in Munich in 1919, still wearing his uniform because he owned no other clothes, Army intelligence sent him to monitor a tiny fringe group called the German Workers' Party. Within weeks, he had taken it over. In 1920, he renamed it the National Socialist German Workers' Party, the NSDAP, the Nazi Party, and designed its blood-red flag himself. His speeches were electric. Part sermon, part scream, all certainty. In a nation crushed by reparations, hyperinflation, and humiliation, thousands began to listen. On the night of November 8, 1923, he tried to seize power the old-fashioned way. With armed followers, he burst into a beer hall, fired a pistol into the ceiling, and declared a national revolution. The beer hall putsch collapsed in gunfire the next day. 16 Nazis and 4 policemen lay dead. Hitler was arrested, tried for treason, and, astonishingly, given only a 5-year sentence in comfortable fortress imprisonment. He served 9 months. In that prison cell, he dictated the book that would become the Bible of the movement, Mein Kampf. A toxic blend of autobiography, racial hatred, and blueprint for conquest. The failed putsch taught him a crucial lesson.
Next time, he would take power legally. The next time came faster than anyone expected. The Great Depression crushed Germany. Unemployment soared past 6 million. In the 1932 elections, the Nazis became the largest party in the Reichstag. On January 30, 1933, conservative politicians, believing they could control him, made the 43-year-old Adolf Hitler Chancellor of Germany. Within weeks, the Reichstag burned, a fire he almost certainly ordered. Emergency laws suspended civil liberties, and opponents began disappearing into the first concentration camp at Dachau. When President Hindenburg died in August 1934, Hitler merged the offices of Chancellor and President and declared himself Führer, absolute leader. The mask of legality lasted only a moment. Trade unions were smashed, opposition parties banned, books burned, Jews stripped of citizenship by the Nuremberg laws. Behind the scenes, the Gestapo and SS built a terror state. At the same time, Hitler rearmed Germany in open defiance of the Versailles Treaty, reoccupied the Rhineland in 1936, annexed Austria in 1938, and swallowed Czechoslovakia piece by piece while Britain and France looked away. September 1, 1939, panzer divisions rolled into Poland. 2 days later, Britain and France declared war. What followed was the most successful string of military conquests in modern history. Denmark, Norway, the Netherlands, Belgium, and France fell like dominoes. By the summer of 1940, Nazi flags flew from the Atlantic to the Soviet border. Then, on June 22, 1941, came the fatal mistake: Operation Barbarossa, the invasion of the Soviet Union. For a moment it looked unstoppable, but Moscow held. Winter came, and at Stalingrad, in the winter of 1942-43, the Sixth Army was encircled and destroyed. The tide turned. While armies bled on the Eastern Front, a second, colder war was being waged across Europe. The final solution moved from ghettos and firing squads to industrial genocide. Auschwitz-Birkenau, Treblinka, Sobibor, Belzec, Chelmno, Majdanek, names that still freeze the heart. 6 million Jews, along with millions of Roma, disabled people, homosexuals, Slavs, and political prisoners, were murdered with bureaucratic efficiency. It remains the greatest single crime in human history. By 1944, the ring was closing. The Allies landed in Normandy. The Red Army surged westward. In July 1944, German officers tried to kill Hitler with a briefcase bomb. He survived, half-blind and shaking, and took savage revenge. As Soviet shells began falling on Berlin in April 1945, Hitler retreated to the Führer bunker, 50 feet beneath the Chancellery. There, on April 30th, with the Red Army only blocks away, he married Eva Braun, wrote his last will blaming the Jews for everything, and shot himself. His staff carried the bodies outside, poured gasoline over them, and set them alight. Adolf Hitler was gone, but the world he broke took decades to rebuild. 50 million dead in the war he started. Entire cities reduced to rubble. A continent scarred forever. His legacy is not glory. It is warning. A democratic society can fall. Charismatic rage can drown reason. Hate, given power and time, becomes genocide. Every generation must relearn this lesson, because the conditions that created him, despair, humiliation, and the search for someone to blame, can return anywhere, anytime. If this story shook you, if it made you think, then remember it. Share it. Talk about it. and never stop guarding the fragile light of truth against the darkness that once wore a little mustache and promised the world 1,000 years of night. Thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.